The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Fusion Administrative webinar with the Paulson brand. My name is Ryan Smith. I am our Solutions Manager here, and we are going to be joined today by Chuck Horrigan, our onboarding team expert and our Fusion expert, to walk us through all the different features for Paulson training customers on how to manage and monitor training and your employees and their training enrollments in this new system. And we're going to show you all the new features that didn't exist before that now exist moving forward thanks to this change. Before we jump into all the features in this onboarding session, I would love to share our full team who is here with us today. We have our migration team, Tyler Lauck and Angela Devanzo, who will be able to answer any of your questions around how things will be transferring and changing from the previous Paulson system to this new Fusion Learning Management System. And we're joined by our client service manager, Tamara Masson, who will be your main point of contact for anything related to and pretty much any question you need. You can feel free to ask to her. So we're going to pass over to her here shortly. But before we do it, just a couple quick housekeeping items. First and foremost, this session is being recorded today, and you will see the video recording sent to your email about 24 hours after today's session wraps up. So be on the lookout for that, and you can share that with your colleagues and coworkers. And today's session is live, so you can utilize our questions feature. You should see a little questions icon on the sidebar of your screen. If you click on that, a little box will open up and you can type in any questions for our team here and for Chuck, and we'll get them answered throughout the session today. Without further ado, that was all the housekeeping I wanted to talk about as our host. So I'm going to pass it over to Tamara to give a quick intro and to give you all some intro information. Thanks so much for being here, Tamara.
Thank you so much, Ryan. So I just want to introduce myself to everybody. I've worked with a lot of you over the years. So my name's Tamara Masson. I am your client service manager. If you have any questions regarding the platform, IT questions, or if you need to purchase additional seats, I'm now your main point of contact. So kind of one stop, you will no longer reach out to Jennifer and Ted, you'll reach out to me directly. If you do not have my contact information, you can still call the Paulson number and ask for my contact information, or you can reach me at tmasson@paulsontraining.com. But please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. And let's hand it over to Tyler next, who's a member of our migration team.
Hey everyone, my name is Tyler and I worked as the migration project manager alongside Angela, who is also on the call. I just want to quickly mention a couple points regarding Fusion and the migration. So previously in the old system, Jennifer handled most of the administrative tasks on your behalf, such as adding users or deleting users and assigning courses. But with TPC Fusion, you have been designated as an organizational administrator. This means you now have the ability to add, disable, or delete users, enroll users in courses, view certificates and reports, and more. We're confident that this new level of access will provide greater flexibility and control for managing your team's learning experience. We just want to point out that the administrative work post-migration will be the responsibility of whoever is designated as your organizational administrator, which is likely you. So during migration, which happened last week, we created user accounts and assigned users any training that they were previously assigned in the old system. So you don't need to do that. Users must start any new courses in the new Fusion system. So inside Fusion, when you get in, or maybe you already are in, but inside Fusion, you will see those users and those assignments already. We were able to migrate anyone with an email address without any issue. If they didn't have an email address in the old system, we provided them with a @temporaryemail.com or @tempemail.com email address. So later in this webinar, Chuck will show you how to edit user details, and you're going to want to update those email addresses so that those users are able to log in successfully, because they will need a proper email address, and also receive welcome emails and enrollment emails. We don't send any spam or anything from the system. It's all just regular enrollments and using the system. So onboarding into Fusion happened last week. If you cannot find your welcome email, please let us know in the chat, and we will resend our information to you, as far as the welcome email and the informational switchover email. If you need that, we can send that as well. If you have any other questions regarding migration, feel free to post them in the chat, and we will respond later in the webinar. Now I will hand it over to Chuck Horrigan for the demo.
All right, thank you, Tyler. My name is Chuck Horrigan. I'm on the onboarding team here at Certus. And what I'm going to go over today is just some of the basic functionality of the Fusion Learning Management System. Just the key things that you need to know in order to get your people in the system and up and running with their training. So the page that you're looking at here, the screen you're looking at, this is just a demo site of mine. But this is what your site's going to look like. The page you're looking at, this is the administrator homepage. So anybody that is added to Fusion as an administrator, when they log in, this is the page that they'll land on. Now up here at the top, there's a home button, which just brings them back to this page. Right next to that is the LMS button. The LMS button is what allows administrators to also be students. So if you have an administrator who is also going to be taking the training themselves, that LMS button is how they'll get to their training, right? So think of this is how you're switching from administrator mode into student mode. So if I click LMS, that's going to bring me here. This is the student homepage. So anybody who is not in Fusion as an administrator, when they log in, this is the page that they're going to land on. Except it won't be bright red out here. It'll be the same off-white as the admin page. And it's a little boring looking right now because, as it says, I'm not enrolled in anything. We'll come back and take a look at this again a little bit later when I am enrolled in training, just to give you a better feel for what the student is going to experience when they go through this. For now, I'm going to switch back over to the admin side by coming up here and clicking admin. All right. So that puts me back on the admin homepage. And down here where you see no results 3 times, eventually that's going to be 3 pie charts. These 3 pie charts are intended just to give you a quick glimpse into what's been going on your site recently. There is a date range up above it, right? That date range defaults to the previous 30 days, and it controls the pie charts. So the first pie chart is going to show you in the last 30 days, how many courses were started, how many were completed. The middle one takes a look at any training that was enrolled during the previous 30 days. And it shows you what is the status of those enrollments. And the last one looks only at post-test results. How many post-tests were passed, how many were failed, and how many went overdue, again, within the last 30 days. If you change the dates and click the little magnifier there, it will update the pie charts to match that whatever date range you selected. Over here on the far left, you have menus you can work with. If you click on one, it expands and you get more choices. Click again, it collapses. This is where you're going to go to begin most of your administrative tasks. Will be over here somewhere. What we're going to focus on today, primarily, we're going to look at user management. So I'm going to show you how you can add and remove people and how to help them if they forget their password. Second, we'll look at how to enroll people in training. There's 3 different ways you can do it. We'll talk about each of those and we'll discuss some other best practices. And then the last thing we'll look at is how to pull information from the system by running reports. So that is our agenda for this call. So first of all, we're going to look at user management. So if I go over here to the left, I click user management and go to users. Here you'll see your list of users. Now it will show up to 25 at a time. That's what it's set to by default. If you wanted to, you could see 50 or 100, depending on how many people you have. Both above and below the list, there is a row of buttons that you can use to help manage the list. Up above that, you have some drop downs, And these are going to be used primarily just to filter the list. And then up above that, up in the top right, you have buttons for adding people. So you can either do an import or you can add new users one at a time. We'll talk more about that later. First thing I want to show you how to do is how to get rid of somebody. So let's say that Mark here was leaving the organization. When somebody leaves, somebody who's on this list leaves your company, you have two options what you can do with their record. Those two options are the first two buttons in that toolbar. Right? You can either delete their record or you can disable it. The only time you really want to delete somebody is if you added them to this list, they never took any training, and now they're gone. Right? So they're never going to. In that case, yeah, by all means, go ahead and delete them. But if they've ever taken any training, instead of deleting their record, what we want to do is disable the record. By disabling the record, you're denying them future access to the system, but you still have access to everything they did while they were here. All right, that way, if there's an audit or any other reason that you have to provide documentation of, what training did this person complete back when they were here, you still have access to that data. So let's say I was going to disable Mark. I just check the box next to his name, come up here, hit toggle disable. You sure you want to? Yes, I am. Hit toggle disabled. Okay. Now notice Mark's record is no longer there, or at least that's the way it appears. It is actually still there. We just disabled it. We didn't delete it. You just can't see it right now because this user list by default is filtered. I mentioned that these drop downs up here were filters, right? Well, the status filter you can see here is set to only show the enabled users. That's why we can't see Mark. If I change that and I say, no, show me all statuses, not just the enabled ones, there's Mark's record. And as you see over here in the far right, he had been disabled. So I can still go into his record. I can still look and see what he did. I can still include him in my reports if I want to. I just don't have to look at him every day since he's no longer an active user. Now, let's say he left the company for some other opportunity and it didn't work out and he came back. I could just check the box next to his name, hit toggle disable again. That's why it's a toggle button, right? We can turn it on and off. So I hit toggle disable again, and he's right back to being an active user. With his training history still there, still intact, he doesn't have to start over from scratch if you don't want him to. So that's how to get rid of somebody. Just remember, deleting, if you delete them, it's permanent. Their data is gone. All right. Disabling, you still have access to their data. For adding people, up here in the top right, you have two options for adding people. You can either do an import or you can add new users one at a time. If you go to the import, unless you're adding like 15 or more people at a time, the import is more work than it's worth. All right. But you can go in here and you can fill out the information down here in this form if you wanted to. One key thing, the username that's listed here has to be their email address. That used to not be the case. That's why it's in two separate fields. But yeah, the username has to be their email address. Any of these fields that have the little red asterisk next to it, those are required. For the role, up here where it says available roles, if you click on that, these are the choices. Right? These are the things that you can put into that list. So again, if you're doing 15 or more people at a time, yeah, this is a quicker way to do it. Once you get it all added in there, you can you hit import and it adds them, it builds their record. And I would recommend checking this box to send the welcome mail to them. All right, that's the only way they'll know that they've been added to the system. All right, for the most of you, and like I said, unless you're adding 15 or more people at a time, most of you are just going to stick with adding the new users using this add new user button up here in the top right. If I click on that, that takes me here where I can go in and start adding somebody's data. All you just have to do is fill out this form. You'll see some of the fields have a star next to it. Again, the star means it's a required field. You have to enter that in. Can't leave it blank. Login name has to be their email address. All right. So let's say I was going to create an account for Tamara. All right. Oops. Don't need caps on. And I'm just doing a fake one here. All right. So that's going to be her login name. I'm going to copy that. And then fill in first name, last name, email address. Just some examples of emails that go out from Fusion. There's a welcome mail for one, which is how you first get them into the system. There's also, anytime you enroll somebody in training, they'll get an email about it. If you set due dates on the courses when you assign it, as that due date is approaching, if they haven't completed the course yet, they'll get email reminders. So that's why it's important to have that. The notification email address, this is something different. All right, if I'm creating this account for Tamara, I'm not going to put Tamara's email address here. What this is asking for is, who do I want copied on emails that Fusion sends to Tamara? So if I were to put your email address here, that means every time Fusion sent Tamara an email notification or an email reminder, it would CC you on that message. And this is one of those things, it's not a required field, and in most cases I recommend not using it. It can generate a lot of extra emails. So if you're trying to get a bunch of people trained, putting your email address there is going to fill up your inbox. Where this can be really useful is, let's say that you got that one person that just never gets their training done on time, right? So you put their supervisor's email address there. So that way, when those reminders are going out to the student that doesn't get their stuff done, the supervisor getting that reminder as well, and can hopefully help keep that person on task, right? So that's when it would be something good to use. The next two fields you can skip. These actually are used by a separate product of ours, something that you guys aren't subscribing to, so you can just ignore the manager and unique user ID. Then we get down here into the authorities. Authorities is where you're defining what can this person do within Fusion. Most of the people that you're going to be adding are not going to be administrators, right? So if the person that you're adding is not going to be helping you administer Fusion, then you just mark them as student and you're done. All right, if you mark them as student, that means the only thing this person can do in Fusion is take training. If they are going to be an administrator, there are two primary levels of administration. There's the organizational admin and the local admin. I believe most of you on this call are going to be org admins. The org admin is the top of the food chain. You have access to the most features. So you can do just about everything. The local admin is just a slight step back from that. They can do all of the important day-to-day tasks. So they can add and remove users. They can assign training. They can run reports. They can't do some of the big ticket items like editing the configuration of the site or modify a course or things like that. And that's the big thing. The other items in here, the only other ones in here you might use are the ones that say reports, right? If you see one that has the word reports on it, that means the only administrative thing that person can do is run a report. All right, so like an org admin, they can do just about everything, including run reports. Org admin reports can only run reports. All right. So if you had somebody like some VP that wanted to be able to get in here and see who's doing what, or if somebody from HR has to verify which employees have completed which courses in order to qualify for a pay bump or something like that, then yeah, give them one of these report roles. And that way they can get in and they can see the data, but they can't change anything, and they can't mess anything up, more importantly. The last thing I want to point out down here is that welcome email. All right. So if you notice, when I entered her information, I didn't pick a password for her, right? That's something she's going to have to do for herself. So I'm putting her in here, and I'm going to check this box that says send welcome mail. When I hit save, it will send her an email, and that email will give her a link that she can use to finish creating her account. She has to verify her email address, and she has to set a password. All right. So I can do that right here. I can hit send welcome mail, this is usually what I would recommend doing, and then hitting save. But let's say that I'm adding a bunch of people. I'm not really ready for them to get into Fusion just yet. So I'm not going to send the welcome mail right away. Instead, I'm just going to save the record. So I hit save, and when you hit save, it kind of looks like nothing happened other than everything just got deleted. It does tell you up here at the top, yeah, the user's been created. All right. It just puts you on a blank record so you could start entering another one if you wanted to. I'm going to go back to the user list. So now you see Tamara's in here, right? But if she hadn't been on the call, she wouldn't know that, right? So now maybe a couple of weeks goes by. Now I'm ready for her to get into the system. At that point, I can just check the box next to her name, and I can hit send welcome mail from here as well. And you can send it out to multiple people. All right. I'm going to go ahead and hit send welcome mail to those 3 people. Okay, so the email has been sent. If you look over here on the left, under user management, if I go to email, this is going to show a list of all emails that have been sent by Fusion to your organization. And you see here are the 3 emails I just sent, including the one to Tamara. If I click on that, this is what that welcome email looks like. So it says, welcome to Fusion, gives a little description of what Fusion is. It says, here's a link to the site. Here's your login name. And then it says, after you click the link, you're going to be asked to finalize your account by confirming your email and setting a password. After that, once you've done that, once you've gone through that process, from then on, anytime you want to go to Fusion, you go to login.certus.com. All right, that's the login page for Fusion. So this link is really just for that first time, just to get you connected and get your account verified. Once you've gone through that process and verified your account, in the user list here, you see there's a column here that says linked. When they've gone through that process, you will see a little check mark here, right? If you see a check mark, that means they have successfully logged into Fusion. If you don't see that, then you may want to talk to them and send them the welcome again and just make sure that they got it and they followed through the process. All right. When you're looking at the user list, you'll notice that the first name field is a hyperlink. So this is where you can go if you wanted to edit somebody's record. You could just click on their first name. So if I go to Tamara's record here, click on it, it takes me into her record on the user details tab, which should look familiar. This is that form we just filled out. All right. And here I could go in and I could change anything. If I had mistyped her email or something, I could fix that. If you need to change their password, you can do that once they've gone through the process, right? Once they've gone through and set their password. If they then forget it, then you can go in here and click change password, and you can assign a different password for them. All right, you just type it in there twice and then come down here and hit save. Okay. So that's pretty much what you need to know as far as user management goes within Fusion. Any questions on how to add people, how to remove people, or how to help them with their password?
Chuck, we got one good question that Angela answered on the line, but I thought you could cover here too.
Okay.
And that is, can we still add a student if they don't have a valid email address?
You can. It's a little more involved. Right now, we're getting ready to. We have in the process a change coming to where you'll be able to do this a little bit more easily. But right now, if they don't have a valid email address, you can give them their login name. You can make it a fake email address. The problem with that is when you send the welcome mail for them to finish creating their account, that doesn't work, right?
Right.
So as the administrator, I actually have a document that you can use that has a list of the steps. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to go into their account, and this link right here, you're going to copy that link. Then you're going to go into a separate browser window, an incognito window. You're going to go log in, and you're going to set the password for them. But like I said, I have a document that I can send out instructions for that if you need that. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, this may apply to a couple people on the line. We just got an additional comment in the questions box saying that their company also does not have email accounts, so that might apply to them.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure to ensure that Dale and Stephen, for example, you're going to get these instructions on how to make sure folks that do not have email accounts can still be covered within.
Well, and an even easier one is if you use if they have a personal email account that they don't mind using, that they don't mind sharing, then you can put their personal email address there, and then that way it still works the same, right? But it's you know, I know we have some clients where they don't allow access to personal email at work, so they can't get into it. So yeah,
Gotcha.
that can be an issue. All right.
Yeah, so definitely folks keep feeling free to sound off in the questions tab, and we'll get your questions answered as we get to the different features. So we just covered user management. I think we got all the questions answered there, Chuck. So yeah, I think we're good to move forward.
All right. And I hit my toolbar, forgetting that I needed one of them. Okay. So one of the things with the Paulson courses, some of the courses use Skill Builder, right? Which for those of you who have been taking this training for a while, you know, in the middle, you know, it'll take you through a lesson, and then at some point it'll say, okay, click this to open up and go do this Skill Builder exercise. Skill Builder it's the same as it has been, right? That hasn't really changed. It is still a separate part, right? So it's not actually included in Fusion. It's actually, you have to go out and go to that. I'm going to open up a different browser window here. No comments about the Panthers logo there. So I'm going to go to Skill Builder, paulsonskillbuilder.com, right? And you have to log in, which I'm already logged in. But just like with Fusion, if you are adding somebody new and they're going to be, if you bought courses that have the Skill Builder exercises, they're going to need to be added to Skill Builder, and they're going to need to be given those courses. And the way that works is you come up here, you can click add a new student, right? And you do their email address. And then you set a password for them, and it can be whatever you want it to be. All right. And then when you're doing this, you want to make sure that this, where it says apply all available lessons to student, you want to make sure that that's checked. All right, that way they are getting all of the available skill builder lessons assigned to them right away. So I hit save and exit. And there we go. So now Tamara's been added, and you can see you can go in here. If you go to the apply lesson list, actually, I'm sorry, you don't go to it. Go to add and remove lessons. You can see a list of all the lessons that they're all checked. They've all been assigned to Tamara. Okay. And if you wanted to, you could, you know, if there were some that you didn't want, you wanted to turn off, you have that option as well. All right. If they forget their password for Skill Builder, you can change their password in here as well. Okay. So, and if you want to see reports, you can run a lesson report on somebody, and you can see what they've done, you know, what they've been assigned, if they finished it, or what their percentage is, how far along they are. And some of them, the score will remain 0. Don't be concerned about that. If it's marked as completed, then it's completed. All right. But this just gives you a little bit more information about the details about how far along they are, so you can see which exercises they've done and which ones they have not. All right. So just remember, that is a whole separate system that you're going to have access to, and that you're going to have to monitor what they're assigned to and everything. All right, so back to Fusion. So now we already looked at how to assign them training in Skill Builder, right? But we haven't looked at how to assign them training here in Fusion. So that's what we're going to do now. There's a few ways you can do this. All right, you can assign them training right here on the user list. I could go into a user's record, right? And now I'm going to use my own record here as the guinea pig for today, so you can see, so I can switch over and show you the student side of it as well. So let's say that I've got this guy, I've got 2 courses I want to enroll him in, right? So I could just go click on his first name. Again, when you click on their first name, it opens up their record to the user details tab. But right next to that tab, you have course enrollments and program enrollments. If I go to course enrollments, I'll see a list of all the courses that this person is currently enrolled in, which right now is none. Now, I want to enroll him in 2 courses. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to click Add Enroll. And I get a list of all the courses to choose from. So I can go in and pick, what courses do I want to enroll him in? All right. I'm going to enroll him in the thin sheet and thick sheet thermoforming. And then click Select, which brings me here. Whenever you go to enroll somebody in training, it's going to prompt you for date information. There's 3 dates you can work with: start date, due date, and end date. Only start date is required. All right, and it always defaults to today's date. The purpose of the start date is to define when can the student start the course. All right. The only time you ever have to change that is if you're trying to delay that start for some reason, right? If I don't want them to start this training until, you know, until June 1st, then I could change the start date to June 1st. If I do that, this person that I'm enrolling, he won't even see these on his to-do list until then, till June 1st. So that's the only time you have to change start date. The other 2 are optional. That's why they're checkboxes. There's due date. If you want to set a due date, you got to check the box. And when you do, the default due date is the day after the start date. All right, so they get 1 day to get their training done. You can go in and You can click in there and type a different date, or you can click the little calendar button over here. You can pick a different day this month, or go to the next month, or the one after that. All right, I'll give until July 15th. Setting a due date does two important things. First, it lets the student know what the expectation is for when they're supposed to have this done. Second, it triggers email reminders to go out. So it will, starting 14 days prior to the due date, in this case, July 1st, I'm going to get an email that says, hey, Chuck, don't forget, you've got these courses coming due in 2 weeks. I'm going to get another email reminder 7 days before the due date, another one the day before, and another one on the due date. If I don't get the course done by the due date, then the following day, I'll receive yet another email. This one's not going to be a reminder. This one's going to be a notification that this course is now overdue. All right, please get it done ASAP. So that's your due date. End date, to make a long story short, don't use it. The end date, if I turn it on, it sets it equal to the due date. But the end date is the opposite of the start date. I said the start date is the first day the student has access to the training, right? Well, that means this is the last day they have access to the training. If I were to leave it like this and enroll this person, that means if he doesn't get it done by July 15th, when he logs in on July 16th to try to finish it, it's no longer there. It's no longer on his to-do list. He doesn't have access to it anymore. Even if he was 95% done with the course, it's not going to be there. He's not going to be able to finish it. Not unless one of you, as an administrator, comes in and either changes the end date to a later date or turns it off. My recommendation, don't turn it on. All right. So end date equals cutoff date. All right. So I've got my start date and due date set. I'm going to hit confirm. Would you like to enroll the user in the selected courses? Yes, I would. I click enroll and then okay. And now you see that this one person has been enrolled in these 2 courses. All right, that's the first technique. I'm gonna go back to my user list. So the issue with that, the only downside of that is I'm doing it one person at a time, right? If I'm trying to get 10 people trained, do you want to do that same process 10 times? Probably not. What if I had, what if I wanted all 5 of these people to take a particular course? That's our second way of doing it. We're going to reverse this, right? So instead of going to one person and assigning him multiple courses, I'm going to go to one course and assign multiple people. So I'm going to go over here to the left. I'm going to go to configuration and courses. And when I do, it gives me, again, my list of courses. Now, when you're looking at the courses, you see the name of the course, and then all the way over here on the right, where it says limit, if you point there, it tells you licenses available. If you click on this little blue, it's a little, I don't know how well you can see it, but that's a little blue information eye there. If I click on that, that's going to take me to the licensing details tab in here. And I can see, okay, well, 30 licenses were purchased, none have been consumed. So I still have 30 remaining. Okay. So you can always check on that and you can always see how many licenses you have remaining. Now the licenses, as long as you started, like this one, the license expiration date is 5/12. As long as you start it by that date, you're fine. All right, that's when the license gets, that's when the license expires. If I start the course on May 11th next year, as long as I start it before May 12th, that license is still good. All right, even if I don't finish the course by May 12th, as long as I start it by then, the license still works. A license only gets consumed when somebody starts a course and takes a lesson. All right, when they take that first lesson, that's when the license gets consumed. So just enrolling somebody in training, like if I go down here to that either of these thermoforming courses, all right, and go to the licensing details, you see no licenses have been used yet, right? It does tell you up here, you do have one person enrolled, right? So you already have allotted that license for somebody, but they haven't used it yet. So it's still available if somebody else takes it first. All right. So let's say that I had 5 people that I want on this twin screw extruder course, right? I want to enroll all 5 people on this one course. So I'm going to click on the course name. And again, that puts me on course details. Just like when I clicked on the username, it put me in user details, right? So I go to course details. You see the other tabs in here. So I've got activities, enrollments, and licensing details. If I go to, I'm trying to enroll people in this course, right? So I'm going to go to the enrollments tab, and it shows me who's currently enrolled. Nobody. If I click add enroll users, here you go. Now I get to pick the people. And I could pick individuals, right? Or I could click this top checkbox and select all of them. I'm going to do that. I'm going to enroll all 5. Hit select. Again, it prompts for the date information. This time, I'm not even going to bother setting a due date. I'm just going to go ahead and enroll them. So I'm going to hit confirm and enroll. There you go. Now you see they are all, those 5 people are all enrolled in this twin screw extruder course. Okay. Now, that's a good way of doing it. Again, the downside is I'm still doing it one at a time. In this case, it's one course at a time. What if I have 5 people and I'm trying to enroll them in a set of 5 courses, right? Well, the best way of doing that is our third technique, which is creating a program. Over here on the left, you have courses and you have programs. If I go to programs, you can create your own programs. And a program is just a group of courses that you're assigning as one. For this one, for example, the Injection Molding Fundamentals bundle, that's a group of 5 courses, right? And you can see them listed here. So if I wanted all 5 of these people to take these 5 courses, then I could enroll them all in this one program, right? I go to enrollments, hit add enroll users, and I could enroll, actually, I'm just going to enroll me. All right, I'm going to enroll me in this program. Hit select. Again, it's going to prompt for dates. All right. Now this time, if you're setting a due date, this time it is a little bit different. Because remember, I'm setting the due date of, not of a course, but of the program. So when I'm setting this due date, this particular program has 5 courses in it. So I need to figure out how long do I want to give them to get those 5 courses done. That's the date I'm setting. When do I want that 5th course to be completed? All right, I'll give them until end of September. And then confirm and enroll. And you see the user has been successfully enrolled in that program. What does this look like to the student? Let me switch over to the LMS side. If I go back to LMS, here it shows, now these are the courses that I was enrolled in, and you see it says type course, right? Type course, type course. And all of these, I just have to click start. So the good news is when you're looking at this, if you're a student who's never seen this before and you logged in and you land on this page, it's not hard to figure out what you have to do to start a course, right? It's pretty intuitive. Now, I am currently enrolled in 3 courses and a program. So these are the 3 courses. If I scroll over to the right, here's the program. And the only way you know it's a program is because it tells you right there, right? These other ones, if I go down and click the start button, that's going to put me in the course. But if I go to this program and click start, that puts me in the program. So up here at the top, you see some basic information about the program, including my due date. And then down here, you see the courses that make up the program. Now, one of the nice things about using programs is if you want to control the order in which the courses are being taken, programs gives you the option to do that. Like if you notice here, this particular program, we have this one set up to where you have to take these 5 courses in this order. So it says injection molding fundamentals, that's the only one that's lit up right now, right? I can't do anything with these other 4 courses right now because we forced the order. If we didn't force the order, then all 5 of these would be blue hyperlinks and you could take the 5 courses in any order you want. The reason we do it this way is that's the Paulson recommendation, right, for how to go through these 5 courses through this fundamentals. So the way it works is I would, as a student, I'd come in here, I'd click on that link to start the course. When I get through it, when I pass the post test at the end of that course, then the second course will become an active link and I'll be able to click on that. And when I pass that one, then the third one goes active and so on. So those are the 3 different ways of assigning training. Any questions about how to enroll people in courses?
As we were going through our discussion of programs, I think a few of our questions that came in the last few minutes, Chuck, were indirectly addressing programs, but I thought I'd let you take a moment to answer them. The first one is, we currently have a set group of courses that our students are automatically enrolled in, which would speak to building a program. But the whole automatic enrollment piece, could you maybe comment on maybe how they can build that out moving forward within Fusion?
Well, it doesn't do, it's not really going to do automatic enrollment.
Okay, so they'll need to set that up at the time that works best for them.
Yeah, so when you add them, so basically if you have the program already set up, right, like I do, then as I'm going through and I add that new user, right, so I added Tamara, all right, I could then, after I added her record, I could then go to program enrollments and I could just choose to enroll her right here, right, in whatever program it is. So you can do that as you're adding people if you wanted to do it. It does not do it automatically.
Gotcha. Okay. And then another question from Teresa says, is there a way to give all the courses in a program but only allow access to the very next lesson when they pass the previous one, to kind of force them to go in sequence? And that would be a matter of doing a use case or sequencing within the courses. Is that right?
It is. So that is determined by the progression type here. Right now, it does not force the order of the lessons. So they do within a course, like if I click on one of these courses, the activities tab, these are the lessons, right? So it does not force them to take these lessons in any particular. They could skip down to one. I don't know why they would, but they could skip down to one. They're going to have to go back to it before they can get to the post test. So, and within the courses, there's a PDF study guide. They're going to, if they're using the study guide, they're going to want to go in order anyway. So that isn't generally an issue with our students.
Right, for sure.
Okay.
One additional question that flowed in, will we have access to any of the lessons available when making a program, or only those that were purchased? And Dale, great question. It'll only be the ones that you purchased, as Angela just also indicated on the line. So essentially, we grant the courses to your site. So any courses that are in your site are courses you have that full access to for any reason. So anything, let's say you haven't purchased our thermoforming content, for example, you're just not going to see that even as an option when you build your program. So you shouldn't have to worry about that, Dale, in terms of overages or whatever. What you purchase should be in your site. Now, if there is something you have purchased, but you're not seeing it in your site, that's where you can get back to Tamara, and we can make sure to get you access to what you need.
And
Thank you so much
also,
for the great question.
Ryan, sorry,
go
on
ahead.
that same note, if you would like something put into your account that you didn't purchase, contact me and we can get together and get that put in your account for you.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of this fusion and kind of behind its name. It's a fusion of all sorts of types of training now, just beyond injection molding and blow molding, but also electrical, mechanical, HVAC skills, how to use hand tools in the maintenance trade, all the way up to management skills and simulations for training and everything else in between. So there's a lot you can do in this system now that everything's in one place. So that's everything for now, Chuck. I think we can move on to our next step today.
Okay. The last thing we're going to look at here is just being able to run reports, which I don't have a lot of data in here. But if you go over here to the left, if you go to the report manager, click on that, it actually opens up in a separate tab. So you can see Fusion's still open back there in the back, but this is my account. It opens up to the reporting tool. In the report manager over here on the left, you're going to see some folders. These are categories of reports. So if you click a category, it's going to show you the reports within that category. All right. It starts off on the activity category, which that's where most of our most useful reports are on here. Our two most popular reports are probably the last two listed under activity. It's participant status and start completions reports. And if you forget which two I said were the two most popular, it's also the names of the first two pie charts, right? Start completions and participant status, those reports. So start completions is exactly what it sounds like. Excuse me. It will show you a list of courses that were started and or completed over a given date range. So if I need a list of everything that was started last month or everything that was completed during the first quarter this year, that's the report to run. Participant status is not about a given date range. This is more about what is the current status of things, right? What is the current status of the enrollments? When you are moving around, you see the little icons that move with it. Well, the first one is a little star. That star just saying this is one of your favorite reports. By marking it as a favorite, you then don't have to remember which of these yellow folders it's under, because over here on the left, if you go to that star, it shows you just the reports that you've marked as favorites. All right, so that just helps you keep track of which one was which. The next two buttons are the two ways that you can view the report. You can either preview it, which means it's going to show up. See how this window goes from kind of a white to a light gray there? All right. If you use the first icon there, the preview icon, the report is going to display inside this white window. All right. You'll still see the yellow folders over here on the left, but the report will display over here. If you click the next icon, it says view report in a new window. It's going to open up in a separate window or a separate tab, and the report's going to run there instead. So this participant status report, this is showing, now this does, you'll notice up in the top right, it shows a date range of the last month, all right? And that date range, if you look over here on the right, these are all fields that you can use to set parameters to narrow down what data is going to show up in the report. Like maybe I'm only looking for people's, information about a particular course or a couple of courses, all right? Or maybe I'm only looking for certain users, so I can select the users from there. If you notice down here, it says course enrollment date. That's the date range that it's using. So it defaults to anything that was enrolled in the last month. So if I enrolled somebody in training on April 15th, that enrollment is not reflected in this report right now. So you may have to go back, maybe I want to see more than just the last month's worth of enrollments. So I'm going to go to the little calendar here. I'm going to go back to January 1st. I'm going to say just from the beginning of the year. So from January 1st through today, I'm going to hit preview again down here at the bottom. And it runs the report. It's the same data. All right. But yeah, but you see now I'm looking from January 1st through today. So if the numbers don't look right, always double check that. Make sure you got the dates. You're being inclusive of the enrollment date that you're trying to find, right, in your report. So down here you see the names of the courses, and these are only the ones that have somebody enrolled in them, right? And then it shows you the first 3 columns there show you the status of the enrollments. How many are not started, how many are in progress, how many are completed. If you add those 3 numbers up, that's how many people total are enrolled in that course. The next 3 columns show the status of the post tests only. If you passed it, there'll be a 1 there under passed. If you fail it, it'll be a 1 under failed. Now, if you fail it, and you see a 1 under there, and then you take it again and you pass it, the 1 disappears from failed and it moves over to passed. Remember, this is showing the current status of your post test, right? So it's not showing that you failed it 5 times then passed it once. It doesn't show that. It just shows that you are currently passed. Now it just shows the numbers here, the number of people. This twin screw extruder, let me make that a little bit bigger there. So twin screw extruder has 5 people enrolled in it. If I want to see who the 5 people are, and let's say that they weren't all not started. Maybe I had 2 not started, 1 in progress, 2 completed. If you click the name of the course, it's going to run a little sub-report. There you go. Oh, much faster. So it runs a little sub-report and it shows you the name of the course, the name of the person, and I'll zoom out a little bit, the status of the enrollment. Now we're all not started, but if we had started it or finished it, then we would see start dates, we'd see completion dates, we'd see test scores, and the duration, how much time was spent on this course. Right. So that can be really useful. If I go back, so this is a sub-report, right? So the other report is considered a parent report. Up here at the top, if you go to that first, or that button there, it says history back to parent. Click on that, it takes me back to that parent report. So that sub-report shows me, for each course, I can print out a list. If I just want to see everybody's status and everything that they've been enrolled in, up here at the top, if you click on view all, it's going to give you everything. Now, the difference is anytime you click on items down here, it shows you the information per course. But when you click on items up here, it shows you the information per user, right, per student. So if I click on that view all, here it shows my name and then everything I'm enrolled in, right? Then it goes to the next person and everything they're enrolled in. And if I go to page 2, the next person and the next person and so on. All right. And with all of these, you can export that data up here. Up here above the parameters, there's a little box with an arrow coming out. If you click on that, you can choose to export it in Excel format or PDF or a CSV file, however you want to do it, and then you just click export. All right, so I've probably gone a little too long. We're right at 4 o'clock. Are there any questions about running reports?
Let me take a quick look. It looks like we don't have any specific questions about the report feature at this time. So I do want to honor everyone's hour with us together. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any additional questions or curiosities, or just moving forward with your access to the training, feel free to reach out to us via Tamara Masson, who you met at the beginning of today's session. She'll be able to help you with any of your questions about courses you'll have access to now and in the future, what courses you can have access to now and in the future, and how to get any of your specific use cases figured out for how to make the training work for you. We're here to help. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time today, and have a great rest of your day.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.